I think, you know, I've had quite a long career as a photographer, so I've been a photographer for over 30 years. And one of the things I love is it's a passport to other worlds. It can, you know, it can be a barrier to communication, but I find it a tool to help communicate, so I love that. I've had so many amazing experiences, both in this country and in other countries, as a photographer. About the Mamiya 7 is that in good light I can use it without a tripod. I had to use a tripod with the interior shots. On the whole, they're mostly shot with tripods. But on the beaches I could walk around using mostly a wide-angle lens and wait. You know, I used to wait a long time on these beaches. And sometimes I would go to an air show and I might not get any shots that I actually wanted for the project. Another day I might have 3 that I wanted for the project. It really varied enormously because I could take shots that maybe could go into a photo agency or something, but I was looking for quite specific shots for this work. Sometimes you don't know it until you see it, you know. So I wanted to be just very responsive and very open, literally just spending time seeing what I felt when I was there on the beaches. One of the influences was a print on my parents' living room wall, which is a kind of fantasy image. It actually is a publicity image devised for one of the very early flying machines. This was a flying machine called the Ariel, which never successfully flew. But there are a couple of images. The one that's actually reproduced in my book, The Home Front, shows the Ariel flying over Hampstead Heath, but this never actually happened. That got me thinking about questions of spectators, fantasy, obviously air shows, aerial flight. I've noticed over the last few years, there's a lot of people still going around in military fatigues. There's a lot of that. It's a huge fashion. I'm sure you've all seen it. What's that about? So that drew me to photographing this guy over here. He's watching a Second World War Lancaster bomber, and I'm really intrigued by him. What's his story? One small girl who was on the cover of my book, No Place Like Home, Echoes from Kosovo, was 4 years old when she fled across the border. And then she and her parents were airlifted to the UK, and I think they still live in Southport on Merseyside. And Lawada, in her first summer in the UK, was down in Southport when the air show was taking place. And the Red Arrows came over and she was terrified. She was terrified because she'd experienced, you know, strikes by fighter jets in her own homeland in Yugoslavia. So for her, the context of the Red Arrows was very, very different to the context that your family on the day out experience in the air show as entertainment. So this idea of war as entertainment, or war as really threatening and a real terrifying experience, I find that very, very interesting. And appalling, really. It's just this idea of context. What is war for one person is entertainment for another. So that really drew me into this whole idea of war as entertainment.